live.
Welcome everybody to our MVP fight predictions and kind of just breakdown of the card. Uh, Honestly, first time I've said this in the other UFC breakdown. First time UFC's actually properly been competed by another MMA promotion. So they've had to compete against Canelo before and stuff like that, but nothing like that's actual MMA. And I'm gonna be honest, Rousey hasn't fought in a long time, but she's a big name. Nate Diaz is a big name. Francis Ngannou is a big name. Those three in the top three fights, those are big enough to sell a card. And I know nobody knows Felipe Lins. The modern audience might not know Gina Carano, and they might not be tapped into Mike Perry and the BKFC stuff, although honestly, I kind of find that hard to believe. He's pretty popular himself. But you have names throughout the card. Honestly, some bums, more bums than you'd see in a UFC card for sure. But I would say each fight should either be fun or has an elite fighter in it. Diaz Perry, I wouldn't say either of them are elite, but that'll be fun. Rousey Carano, you could throw both of the things I said out of the window for that, low key. But Rousey's a big name. She's one of the biggest names in UFC history. Ngannou, murder. Parnas, one of the best in KSW. Unk JDS, former heavyweight champion versus Destroyer to Spain. Fassel's a good prospect. Babian fought Cans, but on paper he's a good prospect too. 1FC former champ Marias. Nakuda, undefeated prospect. Former Bellator champ Jackson. I guess a decent recorded welterweight Creighton. Mogoyam, good Armenian prospect. He lost to Tommy McMillan.
Yep.
Yeah, he's fighting.
I had money on Tommy in that fight, dude. Like, he could have killed Tommy, but Tommy just willed his way through that shit. That shit was crazy.
And then you have the sister of Alex Pereira fighting a bum. And Avila versus Jenkins, who are honestly two kind of bums, but they're both scrappers, and I actually think that'll be a fun fight. But, Tony, we'll start with you. What do you think of the card?
Yeah, I think considering what they're trying to accomplish, I mean, look at the name value. I mean, you got former champions of the UFC, KSW, as well as decent prospects in their own right in Fazil and Nakuda. Those are two guys I'm very excited to see in this card. This is my first time watching either one of them live. Bogoyan I saw in the Contender Series. Yeah, I think all things considered, for what you're asking a promotion not named the UFC to provide, I think this is pretty good, all things considered. We're in the Intuit Dome, which I believe is the new stadium that was built by Steve Ballmer and the Clippers. So, I know that stadium's, really good, state-of-the-art, solid quality and things of that. Yeah, that's the Clippers' new arena. That's a really nice stadium. So that's good. It's on Netflix. I think this is a great opportunity for a bunch of fighters. And I think, don't try to think of it as yes, they are competing with the UFC. They're definitely doing that. But don't think of it like they're trying to emulate them. I see this as a one-off opportunity where fighters who don't feel comfortable wanting to extend a long-term negotiation with an organization, they can use this as a platform to broadcast their skill sets as a free agent and potentially find a contract that suits them better. And I think that's a really good opportunity that MVP Productions has with this. I think they can make a potential business out of that, where I would just try to not even so much build on a league or a ranking system, just look for fighters who are available and be able to create a card like this. But without further ado, let's jump right into it.
The first fight of the card, Chris Avila, Jack Jenkins. It's not Jack Jenkins, it's Brandon Jenkins. He's a lot worse than Jack Jenkins, and they're not related. But in this sort of fight, could you pull up the odds, Tony?
For sure. We got Brandon Jenkins as a -275 according to Tapology. Let me check my book at Hard Rock, see what they got it at. I want to say it's about the same, yeah.
I think Brandon Jenkins is a little bit better of a MMA fighter than Avila. He's more of a scrapper, more willing to grapple. He got 2 wins in karate combat and lost the rest of them. Did pretty decent in bare knuckle MMA. Actually went 1-1 and lost to Anthony Njokuani, who's ancient, I'm pretty sure. 46, 16-13. I'm gonna be honest. Looking at this dude, Brandon Jenkins, He has 3 submissions in his whole career. I think that's the method to beat Avila. Avila's pretty much, despite having like training with Nate Diaz, his BJJ is kind of ass. He tries to rely on it and bottom in moments, and he just lays there. So guys with the wrestling game can hold him on, but he's honestly a pretty technical boxer. He boxes more than he does MMA. And I think Brandon Jenkins is going to come at him swinging. Surprisingly, I'm going to take the underdog here. I'm going to take Chris Avila, the 8-9 record man, to outbox Brandon Jenkins on the feet for 3 rounds. I think Brandon Jenkins could try to mix in the takedowns, but honestly, I just don't see him as much of a wrestler. He's just kind of a sloppy boxer. It's been a while since he's fought in MMA, but when he did, it was Anthony Taylor, Jamal Emmers, all a while ago too. I don't know all these guys. Brandon Famui. I mean, these guys look like ass. Losing to Artem Lobov in the UFC, that was on the Connor card. Chris Avila is not great by any means, but I feel like I want to take a chance on him. I think this fight will stay on the feet, and I think he's the better boxer. I won't complicate it anymore.
Tough fight to start the card. 8-9 and 16-11. Is that right? So yeah, really take your pick here. I do see what Alex sees in the potential of Chris Avila being able to become a fighter who has a 500 record. But for that being said, Brandon Jenkins is above 500. So by those standards and by those metrics, that's pretty successful if you ask me. Yeah, I think Alex broke it down pretty good as much as I can give. I'll be honest, I don't really recall either fighter too much. I do know, like you said, Chris Avila was in the UFC, and from the Tapology picture, it does appear that Brandon Jenkins was also in the UFC.
Yep.
He went 0-2. But look who he's losing to. Like, I think both these guys have lost a good competition in their own right, but the UFC caliber, more losses. Rong Zhu by 3rd round, ground and pound. Drakkar Klose, 2nd round finish. He's getting past the 1st round of these UFC fights. 3rd round in LFA to Mike Breeden. Robert Watley in LFA. These are fighters that I recognize. I'm not going to overthink it. I do hear Alex out, but I think the more MMA fighter is Brandon Jenkins, the guy who will throw up submission attempts if he's on bottom, the guy who will try to attempt offensive grappling if he can. And I actually like that he trains at Syndicate. That's not a bad gym. That's like where like Marav does work in Vegas and things like that. His last MMA fight was these are Karate Combat. His last MMA fight appears to be 2024. So it's been a minute. MMA bare knuckle. Neither of these guys have really been in MMA for a while, so the rust may actually help Chris Avila, but any semblance of grappling I would imagine would be on the Brandon Jenkins side, so I'm gonna go with that. Both guys I think are fairly tough to an extent. I know Brandon Jenkins has been finished before, 3 TKO losses, 2 submission losses. I expect him to want to grapple. Chris Avila, all of his 9 pro losses are decision. So I would say the finishing upside is definitely Avila, especially being the more cleaner striker. But I'm going to go Brandon Jenkins by decision, where I think he gets the grappling going in a tight fight where he could be losing on the feet, but the takedowns give him new life, and he's able to skate by with a decision. I don't mind the Avila pick, though. It's a tough fight.
It is a close fight. Both these guys are fucking ass.
Right.
And in this next fight, we kind of have 2 women that, I'll be honest, are kind of ass at MMA, but are honestly pretty good strikers. Obviously, you might know Alice Pereira, sister of Alex Pereira. Actually, that's not her name. Alice Pereira is in the UFC, isn't she? It's Eileen Pereira. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, he's facing Jade Mason Wong. It's funny how I get her opponent's name fucking right the first time, but I can't get Pereira's sister. But Jade Mason Wong, I'll just say JMW, is fucking actually a striker. She was in BKFC and actually did pretty good. So I could see her maybe trying to get scrappy and do something up close. She's got to make this fight Mike Perry versus MVP in order to win. But I still have to go with Eileen Pereira despite that. Just the better striker overall. Slightly less successful in MMA, but what's her name? She's actually Eileen Pereira's fought more recently in MMA than Wong has. Wong's last MMA fight was in 2020, and after that, she switched completely to bare knuckle and boxing. I expect it to be kickboxing versus boxing. I think the range and just the the ability to kick is going to do wonders for Eileen Pereira. Against a certain caliber of opponent, she actually really does look like her brother and looks like a fucking killer. If you can wrestle her, she won't look like that, but she's very dangerous on the feet, and they hand-plucked a striker for her to fight. Jade Mason Wong is going to come and try to box with her. Eileen Pereira, I think, is going to be working the calf, teeps of the body, set up head kicks, going all levels. She's going to look like a female Pereira out there, and this is a perfect canvas type of opponent for her to fight, to really make her look good. I'm going to go Eileen Pereira, second round KO. Perfect matchmaking for her and to get a good performance out of her.
Interesting fight here at 130 pounds in this women's matchup between Eileen Pereira and Jade Mason Wong. I was looking at Jade Mason Wong's record to see if there was any submission wins, to see if she'd entertain mixing up the grappling, but Alex's assessment seems to be spot on. It's just pretty much either she's been TKO'd, she's lost a decision, or she's won a decision between her pro amateur MMA career. So it doesn't really seem like she gets grappling going. It does say that she trains at TriStar. I do like that coaching-wise, but I mean, I don't know if you're going to get as better experience as your champion brother like Alex Pereira for Eileen. I think it's Eileen. Is it Eileen or Alice? I literally just forgot her fucking name. Eileen. It is Eileen.
Alice Pereira is the 19-year-old in the UFC.
Right, and everybody thinks that that's Alex's sister. That's funny.
Yeah.
I think Alex said it spot on. If she had a submission win on her resume, I think she'd entertain the grappling, but she seems to be a striker, and that's just going to play into Eileen's game. So I'll go Eileen Pereira by decision, where she just lands the more effective strikes. She just displays better range management. She gets hit less, and she just proves she's a better striker throughout 15 minutes. So, yeah, pretty simple. I'm going to go with that. But like I said, if there was any semblance of an MMA background, grappling-wise, I would have considered taking the pick. I will say, though, for what it's worth, she's fought some names I recognize. Split decision loss to Christine Fieri in BKFC. That's not bad. Body kick TKO by Jamie Lynn Horth. Not that bad. Mandy Baum, not bad regional scene MMA fighter, but I'm going to go Eileen Pereira by decision, where she's just the better striker.
Yeah, moving on to a featherweight matchup. David Magoyam versus Albert Morales. David Magoyam is honestly a pretty good fighter. He's the much better record on paper. Looking at Albert Morales, you would think he's losing a bunch lately. That's actually not the case. Albert Morales has actually been doing pretty good. That whole 19-10, and honestly probably came pretty recently. It was probably fucking terrible before that. He's probably 10-10. But honestly, you were expecting a bunch of recent losses. There isn't that many outside of that one you see on the screen against Johnny Robles. And it's honestly got a pretty decent record for being a fellow can. But I do have to go with Magoyam against Albert Morales. Albert Morales, the Belizean warrior. I guess he's Belizean, which is Belize, country next to Mexico. Not a lot of that, but I don't think it's going to get into a robbery decision. I don't think UFC is going to be involved in this ever. They don't care about marketing, whatever. Jake Paul isn't going to care about marketing this dude either. It should be Magoyam against Albert Morales. He's a pretty good. He just kind of got broken there against Tommy McMillan. At one point, I kind of shit on Tommy McMillan for being sloppy, but he's a fun fighter. He needs to tune up the striking, but his grappling's great, and he's got power in his hands. Magoyam was able to deal with him pretty well. I think Armenia makes good fighters too. 21. Albert Morales is 34. This is kind of like Albert Morales looks worse than he is. Plus 450 is a very steep price. If he could put on a veteran pace, maybe he could break Magoyam, similar to how McMillan did. But I wouldn't put money on that. I do have to go with Magoyam here. Mixing the grappling of his own. Strike. I think he's going to be the more disciplined striker. I think Morales is a bit more of a scrapper. I'm going to go Magoyam. Do I say decision or KO? Most of his wins are honestly, it feels like by decision. Seems like they're half KO, half decision with one submission. I don't think a submission will happen then in that case. Got KO'd by Johnny Robles, right? This guy, Albert Morales.
Yes.
No, this is split decision.
He's been TKO'd twice. He got TKO'd by Thomas Almeida in 2016, not that bad.
Mhm.
And where's the other one?
Above, I saw punches TKO. Alfred Karasakian in the first round. Sounds like a fellow Armenian.
11-5. He actually did beat an Armenian fairly recently. In his actual last bout, he
Grigorian.
beat Tehran Grigorian. Yes, so
So he's not allergic to Armenians.
no,
So that's something.
he
Not
actually got rear
not a-
naked choke in that fight.
Yeah. That's his own one rear naked choke, I guess. I'm going to say he doesn't do that to Magoyam just because Tommy McMillan didn't do it to Magoyam.
Right.
But David Magoyam, yeah, I'll say decision. Morales hasn't been KO'd in a while. Magoyam decision. Magoyam.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with David McGeown as well. I don't even know how you say that last name. It could be McGoyan, it could be McGeown, whatever the case may be. I think he gets this one. He's the one thing I will say, he's a little green. 9 pro fights, 21 years old, but I think the talent is there. He's only one loss was against Tommy McMillan. I had money on Tommy in that fight, and I thought it was dead in round 1 when his head hit the canvas. But he showed grit, he showed heart, he dogged it out, and he was able to win that fight. I think Tommy's not a bad fighter. He's undefeated, so that being your one loss isn't anything to pout about. 5'9", 70.5-inch reach. I think he's like Arman Sarukian's protege, essentially, hailing from Armenia. He trains with him, and he trains an American Top Team, which I really like. I'm very big on them. Love that gym. He's got 5 TKOs, 2 decision wins, and a sub. Albert Morales is definitely the more experienced fighter, having 30 pro fights. He's fought in multiple organizations, 1-4 in the UFC. He lost to Patchy Mix. He lost to Victor Henry. He's lost to names that I recognize. They do both actually have a common opponent. As recent as 2023, Javier Garcia, this guy beat Albert Morales, and David McGeown, as recently as his last bout, beat this exact same person, this Javier Garcia. So that's their common opponent. 2 years ago, he couldn't beat him. Very recently, he beat him. I just think McGoyan's the better prospect, more potential. He's just a better fighter overall. Morales is a finished product. This is what you get. McGoyan, we have yet to even scratch the surface of what his peak could be. So I think that's very just better. And not to mention, aside from experience, if there was a size advantage I could maybe play into, but not really. He's only 5'9", 71-inch reach. McGoyan's relatively the same thing. Maybe an inch shorter and an inch less in reach, but I just think he's the better fighter. I'm actually going to go with a TKO here. I think McGoyan's got skills on the ground and on the feet. Morales, I do understand, only been knocked out 2 times, but I think I don't think he could take the amount of shots Tommy McMillan took. I do not believe that at all. I think Tommy McMillan's got really good durability to be able to take that punishment and be able to win the fight. That's insane. Yeah, he's 5'9", 7.5-inch reach. It's about the same thing. So, yeah, give me David McGoyan. I'm going to go – let me see what rounds Albert Morales gets TKO'd in. I'll probably go second. I'm going to go second, but he got knocked out in the first, and he got knocked out in the second. So, I think I'll go second. He has been subbed 4 times. So, rear naked choke potential there, too. It could be a club and sub, but I think McGoyan gets a finish here, and I think it might knock out. So, I will go second round TKO, David McGoyan. Slays the Belizean warrior. As we head on to the next bout on the card, YS Tapology being stubborn. Let's go to the card.
Jason Jackson and Jeff Creighton.
You can take the lead on this one.
Yeah, this is I debated picking he's Jazzy Jeff Creighton. That's that's overused. He's definitely losing now. That is overused. If your name is Jeff, you don't just call yourself Jazzy Jeff. That's been overused. Fuck you. But I was actually thinking of picking him until I saw that, I guess. But big underdog, not a bad record. So I was thinking, you know what? This guy might be worth a pick. But I'm going to be honest, Jason Jackson is just a better fighter overall. He's faced better competition. And the only real losses he's had recently are Thad G and, oh, that's a big fucking spider. That is a big fucking spider. Tony, take it.
You're good. Yeah, going back to what Alex was saying, you look at Jason Jackson's career. This dude beat Yaroslav Amosov, bro. Like that alone justifies me picking him. To be the one man on this planet that beat Yaroslav Amosov, and the reason I'm glazing like this is because if you recently saw Yaroslav Amosov's last performance against Joe Alvarez on UFC 328, you would recognize how fucking great of a win that is right now. For Jason Jackson to beat him, that shows a testament to how good of a fighter he is. Lost a split decision to undefeated prospect Thad Gene in PFL. Finished Andrei Korkashov before that in PFL. That was an impressive win as well. Korkashov, 29-6, very experienced fighter. TKO'd Ray Cooper, beat Douglas Lima, beat Paul Daly, beat Neiman Gracie, beat Benson Henderson. Like, these are good names. I know he's not in the UFC, but these are about just as good as names as you could find that he's able to beat. And I'm looking at some of his losses, like it's Thad Gene, it's Ramazan Kuramagomedov, who just beat undefeated Shamil Masayev. He's going the distance with this guy. It's a split decision to Ed Ruth. It's an ankle injury TKO to Kyle Stewart. Like, these are by the thinnest of margins he's losing these fights. And Colby Covington by decision in his second pro bout. I mean, Hader Hassan, he did get he lost by third round TKO, but that guy was an Ultimate Fighter finalist against Kamaru Usman, if I remember correctly. Like, dude, nah, this isn't even close. Jason Jackson is clearly the superior fighter here in every way, shape, and form. Lock. Like, Jazzy Jeff, meet the ass-kicking machine, Jason Jackson. Trains at Kill Cliff, trains with Usman, trains with great welterweights. Like, Kill Cliff is, in my opinion, one of, if not, like, the best gym and welterweight in the UFC. There's so many good sparring partners that you have. Even like not the best guys right now, like Gilbert Burns, like that's good experience to get in reps with him. Like I said, Usman, Ian Gary's done work there at a time at one point. Allegedly, Jason Jackson, like fucking knocked out Ian Gary in sparring. I've heard that rumor. I don't know. I don't know how much validity there is to that, but I have heard that around. I've heard rumors that he like fuck around and like was beating Gary in sparring. Shavkat, I know, has done work at Kill Cliff. There's middleweights that do work at Kill Cliff. Like, yeah, this is like one of my most confident stances on the card. It was originally going to be Lorenz Larkin, I believe. Jeff Creighton, maybe he could do something that's going to wow me, but he's going to need to do something that's fucking pretty wow, because I think Jason Jackson's got him cleared everywhere here, honestly. Like I said, he's only losing to fucking Thad Gene, Ramazan Kuramagomedov, who are literally like probably like literally the only two like undefeated fucking top two PFL welterweights right now. A 7-1 Ed Ruth at the time, who's currently 8-3, but not bad. Only lost him by split. Lost to an undefeated fighter by ankle injury. I mean, Colby Covington in his second pro bout. Like, these are great losses too. His wins are good. His losses are good. And the Yaroslav Amosov win alone is like, it carries everything. Like that. Probably one of my most confident stances on the card for sure. Jason Jackson's got this all day. Power, striking, grappling, experience. Like, there is nothing Jeff Creighton has. Other than a better win-loss ratio, there is nothing he has better than Jason Jackson in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add before I was interrupted by the spider. Just better. Fought the better comp. Recent memory, he's only lost to Thad Gene and Ramazan Kurmagomedov, who retired at fucking 29. Dagestanis are ruining the sport, but it's not for this video to discuss. Jason Jackson's only lost to the best, and he beats a lot of the better guys in Bellator and PFL and like those promotions as well. Very experienced, good grappler, power in the hands. Rumored to have starched Ian Gary. Unless Jeff Creighton is a secret beast, he ain't winning, and it doesn't seem like he is. I'm going to say Jason Jackson. Has Creighton been TKO'd?
Checking right now. Jeff Creighton's 2 pro losses. Let's see what they come by. 1 by TKO, 1 by decision.
How long ago was the TKO?
The TKO was 2021 in Cage Warriors against Max Ruskoff, 7-2 currently. It was first round ground and pound.
From Creighton's tape, he seems to have an understanding of the ground game, probably not to the degree of Jason Jackson. You know what? I think Jason Jackson's got power like that. He KO'd Amosov. I think if he connects good, it could be over. I'll say Jackson, KO, second round.
Yeah. As I was giving the breakdown when Alex was slaying a spider, I mean, yeah, Jason's got him covered everywhere, dude. Like, I don't see it for Jeff unless like he's this like secret fucking beast, like Alex said. Like, I just don't see it. I think experience, power, everything favors Jason Jackson. I'll follow him. I'm gonna go with a. Let me see what round he got TKO'd in the first. Yeah, I think Jason's better everywhere. When's the last time Jason got a knockout? His last knockout win was Ray Cooper by second round TKO. How many subs does he have? 4 submission wins. What is it? 6 TKOs. He seems to have a good understanding of the ground. I can see ground and pound being there on the feet. I'll go second round TKO, Jason Jackson.
PFL kills these guys' career, especially these old guys, only letting them fight once a year. Thank God he's out of his PFL contract.
Yeah.
To be honest. Thank God.
As we move on to the next bout on the card, this one's a good one. We have former one champion Adriano Moraes, 21-6, going up against undefeated Fumi Nikuta. Hopefully, I pronounced that last name right. Great fight here. This was originally going to be Muhammad Makayev, Adriano Moraes. I would have picked Muhammad Makayev there. Adriano is the guy that beat Demetrius Johnson. We do got to give him credit. He did accomplish that, but he ultimately would go on to lose the next 2 against Demetrius Johnson, as well as he lost to Yuka Wakamatsu in his last bout in one championship. He's not bad, but just like he's kind of been on a downward slope, but a majority of his losses are like it's DJ, it's this 31-2 Kazakh Kairat Akhmedov. Like he is Adriano Moraes is a very experienced, good flyweight who's fought a lot of good guys outside of the UFC. Another split decision loss to a Yusuf Saduyev, 20-6. I think he's kind of finish oriented if you really think about it. Moraes, he's 6 decision wins, 4 decision losses, 11 sub wins, 4 TKOs, 2 TKO losses. So when he loses, he's losing by points or KO. His grappling is very good. Like he has 11 subs. He's never been subbed. When he loses, it's either by decision or KO. Fumi Nikuta, I've never seen him fight, but from my understanding, from what I've heard about him, he trains at Longo. That's with Marab. That's with Aljo. He's very solid in the sense of not a great finisher, but a great minute winner. 7 decision wins out of his 11 pro wins. I think I'm going to go with Nikuta here. I'm going to take a chance with the more unknown. I've seen more of Adriano Moraes. I know what he's going to do. I expect him to want to grapple, but I think Nikuta training with Marab and Aljo should on paper be able to mitigate that, at least stay safe. And I think him being the smaller guy will weirdly help his takedown defense, lower center of gravity, things of that variety. Moraes is getting old, man, and these lower weight classes, it's hard to keep up that level of prestige for so long. And he really was a good fighter. He beat Demetrius Johnson, but I do see a decline in his game as of late. 37 years old, whereas Nikuta, he's kind of just getting started, so to speak. Like he's just scratching the surface of what he could potentially become. So I'm a gamble and take a chance on the unknown with Nikuta. He is 30, but like I said, more time in the game. I really like that he trains with Longo and them. So I'm going to go with him by decision, where he's able to display that he's the sharper striker and he stays safe on the ground, maybe even gets some control or top time and ground and pound of his own. I'm going to go with a Nikuta decision win.
Yeah, Fumi Nikuta should be the dog shot, but for whatever reason, enough people have thought the same way me and you feel to put enough money on him to make him the favorite. Adriano Moraes, 37. And to be honest, I don't really rate wins in shitty MMA promotions, regardless if they're regional or one of the more major ones. I like want to see a lot, but you got to realize their Muay Thai kickboxing, that's some good shit. MMA, he got some good talent there for sure. I'm not saying you don't, but Adriano Moraes getting KO'd by Yuya Wakamatsu on the feet, who isn't really bad himself, but there's just levels to this. He kind of the Demetrius Johnson win is doing a lot of heavy lifting, in my opinion, for Adriano Moraes. He caught him when he was moving into a weird rule set that he was unaccustomed to after being pretty much a champion in a different rule set for a decade. It's going to take some time to adjust for a guy like Demetrius Johnson. And once he did adjust, we saw belt to ass. There was no doubt about, by the time the trilogy was over, who was the better fighter. It was clearly Demetrius. That being said, Marias' best intangibles, and I think especially in 1FC, was he's allowed to kind of use his size, and he doesn't have to weight cut a bunch. Everybody's weight cutting to the same amount, and he's still naturally the bigger guy. He looks massive in there against these, honestly, kind of smaller guys that he's facing, guys from Japan, Korea, the Philippines. A lot of guys, and I don't want to sound like a dick, but, Asian guys on average are usually shorter. And Adriano Moraes is very tall for the bantamweight/flyweight division. And I've talked with my friends before. Like, there's no way he would make 125 if there wasn't weight cutting. And there's no weight cut in this, or there's, as far as I know, this isn't no rehydration shit. This is a real weight cut you have to take. This is a real weight cut below 135 that you have to do. No hydration test BS. This is weight cutting. And you have to cut weight now to 130, which is something you haven't done in a long time. I don't care that you're dehydrating pretty much down to 135 in a different way. You have to weight cut now, and you got to do 5 extra pounds. I think he'll be fine on the scales, but I think that change is going to be different. He seems like a professional dude, and honestly, there's a lot of the weight misses in 1FC still, despite that. So I think I think the weight cut will be rough, but I think he'll make the weight. He seems like a professional guy, like I said, and I think the unknown in Nakuda, 30, 11-0, just because he wasn't a 1FC world champion and, hasn't had the career of Marias, I can't blame him for that. He's not 37. He's 30. He's still got some time. A little old to be a prospect, but represents South Africa and America fighting out of Serra-Longo. He's got to have some level of understanding with the grappling. And honestly, if I think he doesn't get subbed by a guillotine or anything like that, he'll win. I think he's, from what I've seen, got a good grappling game, got good striking, fast, powerful. And another thing that has to be mentioned, I was talking about Demetrius having to switch rules, and when he lost to Adriano Moraes now has to switch rules. Now you can't do the same moves you were doing. You can't knee people in the head on the ground. You can't do certain stuff. So maybe there'll be a point deduction sort of thing where Adriano Moraes throws a Piotr Jan knee or something like that. I could see it. Regardless, I'm going to take the 30-year-old over the 37-year-old, despite having lesser experience. He shouldn't really be the favorite. That being said, I think you just put one on Adriano Moraes' chin after a weight cut that he hasn't done in a long time, almost to 125, which he hasn't even done in probably almost a decade. I think he'll go to sleep if you touch him right. Pause. Fumi Nakuda, second round KO.
All right.
I really said he'll go to sleep if you touch him right. That just sounded wrong.
As we head to the welterweight division, we have 9-1 Namo Fazil going up against 6-1 Jake Babian. First time watching either of these men fight, but I'm going to go with Namo Fazil, the grandson of Saladin. That's some nickname like that. His one pro loss is a decision loss to a 10-1 Muhammad Alcara, who I don't think is bad. 5'8" at welterweight, not great, but the 76-inch reach, training in American Kickboxing Academy, 10-1 record. I do like these things. These are not bad intangibles. And his only one pro loss, the guy that he lost to, is Omar El Dafari, who's in PFL. So I know who that is. But that's not a bad loss. That being his only pro loss. He beat Yakub Suleimanov, undefeated Dagestani. First round TKO'd him. I like that. So those two things I think are the separating markers for me as to why I'm going to pick Namo Fazil in this bout. Jake Babian, on the other hand, I think he's fighting American regional scene guys. And I overall, I could see American MMA regional scene being better than like Middle Eastern, like UAE and all that. But I think Namo Fazil is different. I'm looking at his wins. It's like 8-9, 2-9. 2-1. That's probably the best guy he's fought. His one loss is a third round TKO loss in his first pro bout. Don't love that against a 2-2 guy. Yeah, I'm gonna go Namo Fazil. I think it'll be a torn between second and third. because it seems that a majority of Babian's success seems to be early in the fight, like round 1 and 2. I think round 3 is a round that he doesn't like. He's been to decision like one time in his pro career. He is 1-0 in those situations, but I just think Namafiziel is more battle tested. And I'm going to go with the grandson of Saladin by. He's got 3 subs, 2 decisions, 4 TKOs. I'm going to go TKO. I'll go late second or third. You got TKO in the third. I think the guy he's fighting is better than him. Yeah, I'll go second. I'll go second round TKO Namafiziel. Yeah. I think Babian got to be explosive early and then he'll fade.
Yeah, I haven't found any tape on Babian that isn't 4 years old. So I haven't really been able to get a visual look at how he fights. 6-1. He must be at least good against bums if he can continue to not lose often. But honestly, just I don't think he's going to be at the level of Namafiziel. He's got a better record. He's slightly more experienced. I've heard Namafiziel's got a wrestling base. But honestly, he seems to like knocking out and aura farming on his opponents. And I fucking respect that. 29 for Namafiziel. It doesn't give me an age for Jake Babian. The Barbarian is a very overused nickname again, just like fucking Jazzy Jeff. Whereas the fucking grandson of Saladin goes crazy hard. Saladin was a dope historical figure. He was really cool. I think you should look into him or watch the Kingdom of Heaven movie. He was a really dope Muslim leader during the time of Crusades. But yeah, I don't need to get all history in here. But yeah, Namafiziel, dope ass nickname. Pretty big. He like his page, like his picture doesn't do him justice. 6'1" at 170. He's not a small dude. He's pretty wide too, big shoulders. Tatted up, kind of looks like a fucking like cartel member, damn near. Power in his hands, and like I said, this guy is an aura farmer. I mean, you got to watch just for that, in my opinion. Like, this is why I want to watch. I want to see him aura farm on Jake Babian, and he will. He's gonna do the point down and fucking hands down and start talking. And he's an aura farmer, and I find that funny. I saw him damn near knock a dude out, and he did the process like, nah, I'm not happy with that. Get back up. So I think Fazil goes hard, calling out Armin Sarukian. Just a dope fighter from what I've seen, and I've actually been able to find tape on him. So that's got to mean he's better than Babian, in my opinion. And I just trust, like, I don't know. I feel like these bummy American prospects, we see them a lot, and they're not very good. Like I feel like America is different than, like if you got a prospect coming out of Africa, he can come up unknown and still be really good. Like Ateba Gautier is really good. We didn't know about him until he showed up. But American prospects, you really usually know way in advance. The media's all over them. And if an American prospect's good, you hear all about him. I've never heard of Jake Babian, whereas I've heard of Namafiziel. I've seen things about him. I've not seen a damn thing about Babian. So just being the more known guy, I mean, I feel like that's decent MMA math. Like that, he's got to be better. He's a American base as well, so he's clearly got the hype. The camera's on him, whereas Babian doesn't. So he must be the better prospect. Namafiziel, KO by Aura Farm, second round.
Nice. Second. Fighting out of Kurdistan, it said on his Tapology, is Namafiziel. As we head to the main card opener between Junior Dos Santos, 21-10, going up against Robles de Spain, 5-2. Interesting fight here in the heavyweight division. Robles de Spain, I think, is punch for punch probably the more powerful guy. I think kick for kick, I think he's got more fluidity in his kicks. I suppose he has like better kick speed. The thing that's troubling me though for Robles here is that like I've really never seen him extended, and when he is extended, he loses. Waldo Cortez Acosta, Austin Lane, back-to-back decision losses where he kind of got held down. He doesn't get finished because he's tough and he's so dangerous that you don't want to engage with him. But his boxing is not great. His kick volume isn't crazy. he just kind of relies on his right hand, so to speak, and his defense isn't great either. He hasn't really fought anybody like of note. His best win, probably all things considered, would be the Sam Alvey head kick in the second round. He beat Zach Palga by eye injury, beat Tim Johnson by first round TKO. As for JDS, I mean, he's clearly the more experienced fighter. Um, he is the older guy, but like I said, he's more experienced, trains an American top team. He has been TKO'd 8 times. His last multiple losses are all by knockout. Jorgen De Castro shoulder injury, Cyril Gahn second round elbow, Jairzinho Rosenstrike second round, Curtis Blades second round, Francis Ngannou first round, Steve Miocic first round. I mean, when this guy lose, Alistair Overeem second round, fucking Cain Velasquez. Oh my god, like every loss damn near is a knockout loss. Yeah, when this dude loses, he loses emphatically. It really is basically, does Despain kill him or does JDS like extend this fight and it gets funny? But even then, don't necessarily trust his durability. He's been knocked out in the second, third. Yeah. I guess reluctantly I'll go Robles to Spain. The bigger guy, I guess the younger guy, the more durable guy. And JDS, like, he should grapple. That would be the path to least resistance here, all things considered. Honestly, that like if there's anybody in his corner, and I would imagine American top team, like that's probably the move you want to pull here, bro. You probably want to grapple. If there was ever a time JDS should grapple in his career, it would be here, because I think he probably is the better grappler, and that's not saying much because JDS is a kickboxer. I guess I'll go Robles to Spain by. He got TKO'd in the third his last bout. I think he's more powerful than Rosenstrike punch for punch. I think he's more powerful than Curtis Blades punch for punch. I think he's more powerful than Cyril Gahn punch for punch. I think this is an opportunity to make Robles to Spain look good. I guess I'm going to have to go first round TKO Robles to Spain in an exchange where his reach, his size, his frame just overwhelms JDS, probably like crashes him up against the. I think he's going to like throw some kicks, have JDS be on the back foot, almost press him up against the fence, and he's just going to fucking throw a right hand and is just going to knock JDS out. It's going to have shades of Volkov Rosenstrike. The way that Volkov got that TKO on Rosenstrike up against the fence, I think it's going to look like that, where Despain's just pushing him back with little side kicks, little kicks, and JDS is like getting backed up against the fence, and before he knows it, it's too late. One right hand, it's over. First round TKO, Robles to Spain. Tempted to pick JDS, though. Tempted.
Yeah, was tempted as well, but I got to be honest. He's way past his prime at this point. He's still got good fundamentals. He's a crafty vet, but against a guy like Robles to Spain, he's more than likely going to get slimed out in the first round. That being said, being Unk comes with experience. Despite us knowing JDS is a striker, you have to assume he's the better grappler than Robles to Spain. I would even go one further. I would say you got to assume he's a better grappler than Austin Lane. I don't know if I said that twice in a row, but Robles and Austin Lane, I think he would be better grapplers than. So on paper, I think he could hold Robles down. But I don't think he's that like shameless. I think he would go out and fight the way he fights, regardless of the style. I think his mindset's like, oh, I've been doing this for however many years. I'll fight the way I fight. I don't need to change up my style now. I'm Junior Dos Santos. Then I'll get slapped. For some reason, I feel like fear has to make you shoot, and that'll honestly like what makes you win. Unless you're like a wrestler and that's already your game plan. But I think Junior Dos Santos, he's a vet. I don't think he's going to come in with a ton of fear or Robles. I think he's going to kind of be willing to strike with him. Maybe I'm wrong and he shoots a takedown in the first 30 seconds. But I think Junior will strike with Robles. And I could even see him having some success with the hands. Robles keeps his hands down. His boxing defense is shit. And honestly, his boxing is shit. So I could see Junior winning in the boxing exchanges. That being said, Robles touches him, he's fucking dead. And Robles has power. He does throw like hooks, uppercuts. He throws decent like shots. Just no boxing defense, anything like that. That being said, first round murder by Robles. I don't know what it'll be, but he'll kill him in the first round. First round, KO Robles.
Yeah.
Saladin. Another Saladin.
Yeah. As we move on to the lightweight division, we have, by all accounts, probably the greatest fighter in KSW history, just about. Was, I want to say, a 2 division weight champion there in Saladin Parnas, going up against 17-4 Kenny Cross. Biggest favorite of the card, tied there with the next bout. But I think this one is even a wider margin than the other bout. I actually think there's more of a case for the other bout underdog than this one. I'm a big fan of Saladin Parnasse, man. Like, I think this guy is so good. KSW, if you know it's good for you, don't get rid of him. But for him to be on this card, knock on wood, you might just be a free agent. So see how that goes. I think Saladin Parnasse has so much skills, bro. This guy can kickbox. This guy's a above average wrestler for a French kickboxer. He trains with BSD. Very technical. His 2 pro losses, one was essentially a fluke knockout, which he avenged and got the win back. His first pro loss was against Daniel Torres. Just give me 1 second. I have to plug in my charger. 1 sec. Thankfully, I got that update. That's right. There we go. My bad. Sorry about that. His first pro loss was against Daniel Torres. It was a forearm strike. It was just a weird exchange where he literally got hit, he was dipping his head to dodge a strike, and the hook clipped him, and it just knocked him out essentially. And his other loss was when he tried to move up to become a fucking 3-division weight champion. Against the 170-pound champion Adrian Bartanetsky. This guy who's 19-1, who's very good. He may be on very good vitamins, as you could tell from his Tapology picture. It was a very interesting fight. He lost that fight because of size and frame, really. That's all it was. He just kind of got out-clinched, out-physical in that fight. But his 2 losses is a fluke KO that he avenged, and a guy he fought at 170 who's 19-1, who's the champ, essentially. That's not bad. I think his striking is legit. I'm talking way too much on a minus 1400. Let's just get to Kenny Cross. Out of his 4 pro losses, I want to say 3 of them are subs. We don't need to talk anything anymore about Saladin. Saladin, if y'all don't know him, y'all just don't know ball. Trains at Syndicate. I like that. No, all 4 of his pro losses are by submission. Oh, this is great. Okay, so yeah. So all 4 of his losses are all rear naked chokes, it looks like. Yep, just about. One's a triangle. But 3 rear naked choke losses, a triangle loss. This is an opportunity for Saladin to get his singlet, I guess. I already know on the feed he's better, but it seems like this guy can't grapple. He has 7 subs but 4 sub losses. Saladin, I don't really consider him as much of an offensive grappler. So I think he'll look for a KO. I think he'll look to be the first guy to KO Kenny Cross. We see 7 TKO wins, but 7 submission wins as well. So Saladin can grapple. Holy crap. The last time he got a sub was, it's been a minute, 2022 by rear naked choke in the 4th round. That was a championship bout. This will be a 3-round bout. You got another one in round 4. You got one in round 2. It's supposed to be sub here because that's how Kenny Cross loses. I would assume he's got decent durability to not been knocked out at this point. Yeah, I think it's Saladin inside the distance. It's either KO or sub. I kind of want to pick him to be the first guy to KO him. I don't really think this guy's fought anybody of note, but they're saying on the ground he is just tragic. So I'll go Saladin Parnasse by 2nd round TKO, but subs there. Inside the distance is the play. I don't think his props are going to be available for my book at least. So I'll probably won't even be able to touch this fight. But if I was going for a prop, it'd probably be Saladin inside the distance. Or that's probably not even going to be a good number either. He's minus 1,400. It's probably minus 600 that he finishes him. So, yeah, he's just the lock of the card. Saladin just styles on this dude. Sub or KO. I really pick your poison. He could be the first guy to KO him, or he could be the 5th guy to sub him. You choose. Either way, he's getting it done.
Yeah, I also have to go with Parnas. No shocker there. Last time I checked Tapology, this motherfucker's name was Kenneth Cross. Now he's Kenny Cross. That's just confirmation he's going to die. Saladin Parnas by KO. He's going to be the one to kill Kenny. Cross is just mid. Nothing I've seen from him really excites me. He's surprisingly got a decent record. But I think Saladin Parnasse is just that next level. He's next level on the feet compared to Kenny Cross. And grappling wise, I don't think they're that far off as well. Kenny Cross is definitely the more go-to grappler. I think he'll shoot first in this fight. His foundation style is wrestling. Syndicate MMA. Maybe we're misjudging Kenny Cross wrong. I doubt it. He's 31, older than Parnasse. Parnasse has got more experience, definitely more winning experience. I think at a higher level, this is a champion of KSW, double champion of KSW. They put him on here to have a good performance. I feel like against a guy like Kenneth Cross. I'm gonna go Saladin Parnasse. For some reason, I'm feeling body kick KO. Kenneth Cross looks like the type of dude to be tough, maybe to the chin, but you can't be tough to the body. And Saladin Parnasse has gotten body kick KOs before against the likes of Robert Ruchal, who's currently in the UFC. So I think Saladin Parnasse, he was chosen here on this card for a reason, and that is to perform and pretty much show people how good he is. So I got Saladin Parnasse. Short prediction. I'm going to say first round body kick. I think it'll be a different level on the feet. You got to unmute yourself, Tony.
Yeah, I think he's a lock of the card. As we head on to the heavyweight bout for our feature fight of the evening between former UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou, 18 and through, sporting the Cameroonian flag, going up against former UFC fighter, 18 and 5, Felipe Lins. There was a time when I picked Renan Ferreira to potentially beat Francis Ngannou. I did not realize how smart Ngannou was going to fight that fight. He grappled immediately and he took the path of least resistance. He got the finish. It was emphatic, and yeah, he got the job done. It was very smart, very good. Felipe Lins, I think he's fought at 205 before. Trains an American Top Team. I do like that. I'm trying to find things to like compliment about this guy. He's got 5 decision wins to the 1 loss. Power is clearly Ngannou. He's just accomplished more. I will say, for what it's worth, he is on a 4-fight win streak. He beat Martin Prachnio, Ovince St. Preux, Maxim Grasham, Ian Cutelaba. You know, outside of Ian Cutelaba, majority of those guys are old light heavyweights that are not very athletic. Prior to that, he was on a 2-fight losing skid to Andrei Arlovsky and Tanner Boser. That's not a great look. Yeah, I'm reluctantly guess I'm going to have to go Francis Ngannou. I will say between the two massive favorites, if I had to give a dog shot, it would be Felipe Lins over Kenny Cross. Kenny Cross will have to show me something, but yeah, I think this is setting up for a Ngannou TKO. Felipe Lins, he's only been knocked out, like 2 times? No, I'm sorry. 4 of his 5 losses are by knockout. So yeah, I have no choice. I got to go Francis Ngannou here. Let me see the last time he got knocked out. First round by Tanner Boser. Fuck, that is wow. Wow. I don't know if he's gonna do it sooner than he did to Renan Ferreira, but yeah, I'm gonna assume that American Top Team, like their number one goal is don't get flatlined in the first round. So I'll go second round TKO Francis Ngannou. I'll give a round of respect, not to Felipe Lins, just to American Top Team to tell him circle and don't engage with him for the first 5 minutes. That's what I'm expecting, but it could be sooner than that. But I think for sure it won't be as fast as Renan Ferreira. He's getting knocked out, but it just won't be as quickly as Renan did because that was terrible. So I'll go second round, the Predator, Francis Ngannou, TKO.
Yeah, Felipe Lins, he's a career light heavyweight pretty much. He has fought at heavyweight before, but he's honestly had a bit of a win streak in the UFC at light heavyweight before they abruptly cut him or he chose not to re-sign. He was a super inactive guy, though, for the promotion. Doesn't seem very reliable. And like Tony said, almost all of his losses are by KO. And if you're getting KO'd in the first round by Tanner Boser, you were getting KO'd in fucking 30 seconds by Ngannou. Let's be honest. I think Ngannou's tough to beat. You got to be a quality opponent to beat Ngannou. There's extreme threat with Ngannou and every punch he throws. And he's gotten better at defending the grappling as time goes on. As he's had boxing fights, you have to assume his hands have improved. He's used his wrestling more in his last 2 fights than he ever has against Gane and against Fahea. I think Ngannou's dangerous for a lot of people. He's big. He's fucking powerful, extremely physical. Like, he's got the ability to take you down. 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 He's got He's the type of guy, like, I know he's not a wrestler, but if he wanted to, he could fucking pick you up and hit you with a fucking attitude adjustment in the cage. He could choke slam you, so I guess the guy who's pretty much a light heavyweight, I think he's going to get murdered by Ngannou. I don't need to overcomplicate this pick. There's a thought at lighter man skill. Felipe Lin's got some fast hands, decent calf kicks, but unless you can pretty much put Ngannou out back or just out technique him for 5 rounds and be the better MMA fighter, mixing the grappling, Felipe Lins can't do any of that. He can maybe box him up a little bit early, but once Ngannou connects, it's all over. This is a different power than Fat Man Tanner Boser. Ngannou by murder. First round KO, under a minute.
Yeah. This is just setting up for Ngannou easy. As we head on to the co-main event of the evening, a battle of 2 fan favorite former UFC fighters. Nate Diaz, 21-13, going up against Mike Perry, 14-8. Clash of styles here. I would say that Mike Perry is punch for punch more powerful. I think he has better takedowns, so by default he'd be a better wrestler. And I guess he's a better starter, like in round 1. So I think he's a better first round starter. I think he's more powerful. I think he's more explosive, and I think he has better wrestling. I think Diaz is the better technical boxer. I think Diaz is the more durable chin. I think Diaz has the better cardio. Output, it's like bursts and explosions versus like a stream of output. I think this fight being 5 rounds is huge for Nate Diaz. Had this been a 3-round fight, I think Mike Perry has a very good chance of winning. But this fight being a 5-rounder, I think is huge for Nate Diaz. I think even if Mike Perry gets the ball rolling early, I don't trust him for 25 minutes to keep a pace that is consistent enough to at least win 3 rounds. There is a world where he steals rounds with knockdowns. I do hear that. But that being said, it really just boils down to this, and it's not a great reason to pick. It's like an MMA wrath reason. Would Mike Perry ever beat Conor McGregor and Anthony Pettis and Jorge Masvidal in a boxing match? Probably not. I think Mike Perry's a dog. Like bare knuckle is like his whole. He beat MVP in a bare knuckle fight. Things had to go his way in that, but still, like he proved he could grit down and win like that. This being an MMA fight, even if Perry want to wrestle, that's dangerous. You're playing in the guard of Nate Diaz, who I know he don't look like it, but he actually is like a lot of submissions in the lightweight division and welterweight division for when he like fought in between the 2 weight classes. I'm going to take the dog shot. I'm going to go Nate Diaz here. I think, like I said, I think this fight being a 25-minute bout is huge for Nate Diaz. I really do. Even in a world where he's not winning the fight early, I don't trust Mike Perry to consistently keep that up. The only way I really see Mike Perry like essentially winning, he either steals the fight with knockdowns or he gets a TKO doctor stoppage where Nate Diaz's scar tissue and his cut susceptibility is just like overwhelmed easily. I think elbows off the break could help Perry. But like I said, I don't trust the bursts and explosions of Mike Perry versus the toughness and the endurance of Nate Diaz. Say what you want about Nate Diaz, but he has literally fought like some of the best fighters in the world, prime for prime, and in different phases of their life. I can't necessarily say the same for Mike Perry. Mike Perry's fought some good guys. He's fought, like MVP. He's fought Jeff Neal. He's fought Vicente Luque. He has fought good names, but I think Nate Diaz has fought more champion caliber fighters. McGregor, Pettis, Tony Ferguson was an interim, if you want to count that. I just feel like he's just fought more name-worthy resume names. I don't agree with the line either. This feels like a fucking pick-em fight. I feel like the longer the fight goes, it favors Diaz. Early on, it's Perry, but you know how hard it is to kill Nate Diaz early? Like, that's not an easy fucking proposition. So I'm going to go Nate Diaz. I guess I'll go decision. I'll give respect to Perry. I could see a late finish, though. I could see a late sub or a late, like, exhaustion TKO, but I'll reluctantly go Nate Diaz by decision, where his straight punches inflict enough damage on Mike Perry where the damage looks equivalent. I think Mike Perry is going to win, like, the first 2 rounds. But I think Diaz rallies and wins 3, 4, 5 consecutively. Could see a late finish. But overall, the pick here is Nate Diaz. I like him as an underdog. I just don't trust the endurance of Mike Perry. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people been picking Mike Perry this week. And, if this was a BKFC fight, I really wouldn't mind that. The scar tissue in Nate Diaz, the lack of gloves, the cuts are going to open, doctor stoppages are likely. But in MMA, it's a different thing. I know both of these guys have been kind of boxing and doing BKFC. Well, in Perry's case, doing BKFC. Nate's been boxing. If one of these two guys, after leaving the UFC, still kept up with MMA training, still grappled in the gym, it's Nate Diaz 100%. Mike Perry's been pretty much fully transitioning himself to boxing ever since he left the UFC, which was before Nate. Nate is a pretty much a hobbyist BJJ guy. He likes BJJ. He does that because he likes it, not just because it's MMA training. So submission wise, obviously, I'm not saying anything you don't know. Nate Diaz has the upper hand. And if it ever goes there, I expect a submission. And that will be my pick. I got Nate Diaz by submission. I think at some point later into the fight, there's going to be a time either in the clinch, in kind of like a scramble scenario, or like kind of like a knockdown where he kind of fades, where eventually Nate Diaz will grab hold of a choke. I think this is going to be a boxing fight for the majority of the fight. Nate Diaz isn't a shooter of takedowns. He's a guy, if it ever winds up on the ground, he'll sub you. But he's not going to shoot takedowns to really do it. He's going to try to outbox you. The cardio of Mike Perry is an issue, where it's a huge strength of Nate Diaz. The output of Nate Diaz is a huge strength as well. Despite being the fighter between the two of them that has fought at lightweight, he's taller and longer than Mike Perry. 6 foot tall versus 5'10", and 76 inches versus 71 inches. Mike Perry, in kind of like I was saying earlier, hasn't fought in MMA for a long time. And when he was losing to people he shouldn't be losing to. He was losing to Tim Means. He was losing to Old Man Cowboy, getting submitted by Old Man Cowboy in the first round. I think Nate Diaz can do that sort of thing. Mike Perry, I think he's going to trust himself a little bit too much. He's not exactly the most IQ fighter. Neither is Nate Diaz, but I could see Mike Perry like slamming Nate Diaz or something. And that's eventually what got him subbed by a Cowboy. He picked him up and slammed him and got caught in an armbar. I could see Nate Diaz doing something like that. I like that he's a slight underdog. I know he's 41 and Mike Perry's 34, but the toughness of Nate Diaz is real. I don't think Mike Perry is going to KO him. I could see him dropping him. I could see him hurting him. I could see him cutting him. Nate Diaz has been a very hard guy to finish for a long time in his career. Just a very naturally tough guy. And this is a fight we're all looking forward to. This is a great scrap. It'll be a lot of fun. But I see the fight getting to the ground at least once in this fight, and I think that's all it'll take. I think Mike Perry is in a different world in the grappling. He showed that in his MMA career when he was an active MMA fighter, and he isn't an active MMA fighter. He's an active BKFC fighter. Nate Diaz, just the more well-rounded MMA guy, great submission game, and if it goes there, it's over for Mike. And I think on the feet, despite the power advantage of Mike and maybe the scar tissue disadvantage for Nate, I think it'll be pretty close in the boxing. I actually think Nate Diaz technically is a better boxer than Mike Perry. I think if they were wearing 12-ounce gloves, Nate Diaz would win in a boxing fight. That being said, I think Nate Diaz hurts him and subs him. 3rd round guillotine.
Another thing to note, I agree with Alex's sentiment about like how he's transitioned himself into bare knuckle. His clinch, dirty boxing, and bare knuckle is very effective, Mike Perry, but I don't think it's as effective in the clinch as Nate Diaz is in MMA. Nate Diaz literally beat Anthony Pettis solely off the clinch. Like I don't think he's going to be able to just manhandle Diaz in the clinch. Like, I think the clinch could be a big factor in the fight as well. Aside from that as well, both these guys, we're filming this at 2:55, at least my time, 2:55 a.m. EST. The cards tomorrow. They both look in phenomenal shape in the weigh-ins. These guys look like the best shape they've been in like the last like couple bouts they've been in, regardless if it's MMA, bare knuckle, whatever it is. So props to that. As we head on to the main event of the evening, former UFC champion Ronda Rousey, 12-2, going up against Gina Carano, 7-1. Really interesting fight. Ronda Rousey's a massive favorite. I'm under the assumption that in order for those odds to be like that, they're just banking on Rousey gets this fight to the ground at some point. Carano, I do believe, is the better striker. Her one pro loss is Chris Cyborg. No shame on that. As for Ronda Rousey, her two pro losses are Holly Holm via head kick, as we all remember that card, and Amanda Nunes, and there's no shame in that. Both these girls only seem to lose to the best of the very best. This is your classic prototypical striker versus grappler matchup. Gina want to keep it on the feet. Ronda want to get to the ground. Who's going to get it there? According to odds, they're saying Ronda. She just seems to have slightly been more active. Her last fight was 2016. Gina's was 2009. So would love to see Gina Carano win. She was also in phenomenal shape at the weigh-ins, as always. But unfortunately, I really hope I'm wrong, but I'm gonna have to go Ronda Rousey here. I do understand that Gina Carano has never really shown any like weaknesses in her ground game, and all fights do start on the feet. If she is somehow able to defend the wrestling of Ronda Rousey, we have ourselves a fight. Because like I said, I think the better striker is clearly Gina Carano. It's just this fight really just comes down to, does Ronda Rousey get this fight to the ground at some point? Because if she does, the submission threat's there, the ground and pound potential's there, the control's there, all of those factors. And I like Gina, and I know she's the better striker, but women's power to trust and bank on that, because that's essentially what I would have to do here, is hard. And it's even harder when your last fight was 2009 and you're 44 years old. And yeah, that's just asking me a lot of things to put faith in that I just like can't do. So I'm like, bro, the last time Gina Carano fought was fucking Strikeforce, my dude. Like, I can't. I really hope I'm wrong. That'd be so cool, but Ronda Rousey got this, I think. Yeah, whether she's on bottom, she's on top in the clinch, if she just gets this somewhere to the ground, I think the gap is immense. Yeah, so I'm gonna go Ronda Rousey via. Do I just say first round sub? Majority of Ronda's subs are in the fucking first round, dude. That is, dude, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6, like 7. Fuck it. Why else are you minus 600? I'm gonna say she could do something that Hamzat can't. Get a sub in a main event that matters. So I'm gonna go Ronda Rousey by a first round armbar signature Selly. I think she's just gonna like bum rush Gina, like, and just like grab her arm like a homeless woman, fucking like, give me your money, and fucking Gina's gonna like try to push her off and like try to disengage, and like Rousey's just got that fucking vice grip like a crackhead who needs that shit, and she just finds a way to like, I don't know, like just clinch up on her and then take her back and either lead to a rear naked choke or an armbar. Yeah, first round sub, either the signature armbar or she just takes her back and rear naked chokes her. I'm gonna go first round sub Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, we're at the main event of the evening. Take away the names, take away the history. What we're looking at is an unranked women's bantamweight fight in the UFC right now. We're looking at more or less we're looking at Conejo Ruiz versus Alice Ardelin 2 is what we're watching. But Ronda Rousey, hip toss, armbar. That's kind of her move. Overhyped boxing for her time. That being said, she's actually facing a woman from her time, so I expect her boxing to actually be better than Gina Carano's by a good bit. They were talking about her boxing Floyd. I don't know if you remember that, and that was retarded, but that's to show that for the time people thought she had good hands. And I don't remember really people saying that about Gina Carano. Looking at her record, she has some crafty Muay Thai experience, but both these girls are inactive. Ronda Rousey, I see a lot of people talking about her being inactive. Her last fight was 2016. Carano's was 2009. I was in kindergarten. Ronda Rousey, I at least had like some hair on my balls, under my armpit. Like not a lot, but some, but it's different levels from each era. And I think Gina Carano was damn near like the golden era, like before the Rouseys, before the McGregors and people like that. And I think it might be crazy to say, but Ronda Rousey is simply the more modern MMA fighter, which is extremely crazy to say. But zero head movement on the side of Ronda as well. Terrible boxing, let's be honest, by today's standards. But in this fight against a woman of her era, and honestly earlier than her, I think she'll look pretty good. Uh, this might be kind of a negative view of this fight, but whatever, it's shit anyway. Uh, these girls haven't been in the cage for a long time. They're both old. This just feels like an injury-prone fight where somebody puts their arm down wrong and it fucking breaks, or somebody's shoulder doesn't hold up in the clinch, or I don't want to, say that and manifest it, but these girls have been out of the cage for a very, 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 very long time, and they're damn near senior citizens, especially in Carano's case. You have more success when you're older in women's divisions just because of the skill level. But yeah, this is kind of a slop main event. Nate Diaz and Mike Perry, Francis Ngannou. That's what we're really here to see. Rousey coming back, I guess, to see her again is cool. It's been 10 years. Both lost only good opponents, Chris Cyborg in Carano's case, and Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes in Rousey's case. I guess it's for the casual brain, they're probably eating the shit up. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry of my lack of analysis. I'm thinking hip toss armbar. I'm sorry. That's kind of just what my mind goes to. Maybe Carano can stuff a couple takedowns. Rousey is going to look shit. Carano is going to look better. She always looks better, but in different ways. But yeah, it'll be sad to see. I like Carano, whereas Rousey kind of reminded me why I didn't like her back in the day. She's very entitled, but I do think she's a pretty physical girl. She's mean, for being in an MMA fight. That says something, and she goes for it. Oh, well, at least in her prime, she did. I could see like a mental case Ronda Rousey just like bouncing at range like Aspen Ladd, but Gina Carano can't be that much better. Like she can't be, right? She's 44, hasn't fought in like. Ronda hasn't fought in 10 years. So like what? It's like fucking damn near 15 years for Carano. Yeah, I mean, no, it was 16 years. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. I'm going to have to go Ronda Rousey by armbar. First or second? I'm going to say first. I don't expect these ladies to know what the fuck they're doing past the first round. They're inactive and they're old and they've been retired for literally over a decade. So, Ronda Rousey, first round submission. This is a cash grab. I assume Carano will resume retirement after this. I'm unsure about Rousey. Maybe she goes to the PFL and fights Ditchevik. That's kind of what I want. I think that'd be funny. But yeah, I'm gonna go Ronda Rousey first round armbar, I guess. Just less old, less ancient, less fucking retired, and that's saying something. That really is saying something.
Yeah, like her last fight was literally like Strikeforce, bro. Like, what do you want me to do there, bro?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to do there, bro.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, you can't.
I can't.
That's one thing. I mean, it's not even one thing. I'm talking about Rousey like it ain't that bad. It's bad too, but
2000 Rousey, like nearly fucking 10 years off the fucking cage too, but like that's like damn near 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we Arione, I don't think was born. No, he was. He's like my little brother's age. He was like 2 though, like literally a toddler.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, it's an interesting card. We can talk a little bit about what we think about the promotion, what we think they can kind of do, and how they their strategies kind of should differ from the UFC's.
Yeah,
I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, I think this being on a platform like Netflix, that's a great deal from MVP. I don't expect them to like make this into like a league or anything along those lines. What I think they should cater more into is the premise of fighters that don't want to commit long term to an organization that they're under like negotiations and like re-extensions and things like that. This is like the place to be where you feel like you could take a gamble on yourself as a free agent and be like, you know what? I'm not going to sign the extension to what I'm already at. I'm going to take a chance and take this fight, risk my record, show on a big stage like Netflix, and see if any other promotion wants to meet my number. And I feel like that's what MVP promotions could be. You got Pereira. She's been fighting a karate combat, a little bit of LFA. You don't know what long-term she's going to do. Magoyan, he fought in the Contender Series. He's 21 years old. He's not getting signed to the UFC, but he doesn't want to wait till like next Contender Series. So he fought on the regional scene. He took an opportunity here. Jason Jackson, Literally fought in the PFL. He must have not liked what the negotiations were there. Lost to Thad Gene by split. Felt like he probably didn't get like the benefit of the doubt in the decision, and he wants to take a chance on himself here. Adriano Moraes won championship, former champ. Things weren't going according to plan, so taking a shot on himself here. Trains an American top team. Maybe if he gets a win at an upset, potential UFC look, or maybe PFL, who knows? Fazil's fought in UAE, won championship. To Spain, I've seen him fight in the UFC, Karate Combat. Parnas fought in KSW. That one's, I think Parnas has a real opportunity, like to make I expect him to get a very nice viral finish. I'm very curious to see what promotions are going to be calling him, whether it's PFL or UFC. I'd be open to either one. Specifically, obviously the UFC. This guy's awesome. Ngannou Lins, that's just Ngannou with the easy opponent. Diaz Perry, I like that fight. I think that fight is driving a lot of stake in the fandom of the card. I think that's doing a lot of the heavy carrying, that matchup in particular. But all in all, yeah, all these guys, you don't know long term if like Mike Perry is going to stay with BKFC. You don't know long term if Francis Ngannou is going to stay with the PFL. This is the place to be where they can show the world a great performance as a free agent and lead them to get to a destination of a negotiation they want to get to.
Yeah, I think it should be temporary for almost all these guys on the card.
Yeah.
I think in the case of Francis Ngannou, I'd make an exception. He just kind of already fights once a year, and this kind of gives him the freedom he wants. There might be like a small beef between him and Jake Paul, but honestly, if you want to make that boxing fight, this is how you do it. You keep fighting on the MVP promotions, once a year. You can switch to boxing on a dime, literally whenever. You can have a boxing and MMA fight every other fight if you wanted. And I feel like that kind of lines up more with what Ngannou wants. They'll probably pay him whatever he wants, as long as it's what they have and willing to pay. But for everybody else, I think this is more of a stepping stone outside of your older guys. Like I expect JDS to go back to Game Bred Boxing. I expect Mike Perry to go back to BKFC. I expect Carano to go back to retirement. Robellis to Karate Combat, and so on. But some of these younger guys, these prospects, like you said, Magoyan, like Fazil if he wins, Nakuda if he wins, I could see a lot of these guys going into the Contender Series again. Or honestly, like in the case of Nakuda or like Fazil, if he wins impressive enough, they could even supersede that and go right into the UFC based on an impressive win, especially in Nakuda's case. Moraes is a big name, ATT guy, champion in another promotion, big guy as well. I think, there is a rumor that I heard that anybody who fights on this card won't be allowed back in the UFC. That is a rumor I heard, and that kind of plays into why Makayev pulled out. He's the guy that wants to be back in the UFC. It feels like an anti-UFC card just because I feel like Rousey is driving that across, as well as and Ngannou too. Like just he's like the face of like unhappiness with the UFC. Yeah. And Jake Paul, it's no secret there either. So that makes me feel like a guy like Parnas.
Nate Diaz, another one too.
Yeah, he's historically had problems. Although I feel like Nate Diaz would be more willing to come back than others. Like I think he genuinely wants the counter fight and would be willing to bite the bullet for it.
Yeah.
It makes me worry for guys like Parnas. For some reason, I just get the feeling like he's going to be one of the ones that gets away, like a Paul Hughes. Meanwhile, we get Ruchala.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But one can hope. I think if he stays around in this promotion, if Fazil wins impressively, Parnas wins impressively, you could always do that. They're fighting on the same card. They'll be on a similar schedule. So if this is going to be a more recurring thing, you could do that. I don't see that being the case. Just looking at the matchups, a lot of them aren't even at proper weight classes. A lot of them are like 165, 130, stuff like that. That kind of makes me feel like both of the guys just kind of agree to what they're going to weigh in at. And they're like, okay, sounds good. See you on weigh-in day. There's no like, I'm a welterweight fighter. I'm signing a contract to be a welterweight fighter for MVP, and I will only fight at 170. It doesn't seem like that's the case because it doesn't seem like there's any structured belts or anything like that. I mean, in the top three fights, you have some of the biggest names. I mean, if you have Francis Ngannou, you put him in a title fight for your promotion. Am I wrong?
Right.
If you have Ronda Rousey, similar thing. Nate Diaz, Mike Perry, that's, despite them losing in a promotion like this, I mean, that's a great title fight. And, all of these fights, 5 rounds. Top 3 fights are all 5 rounds. It feels like the only thing missing is a belt, and they're not doing that. So it makes me feel like, what Tony says is true. This is going to be more of a once or twice a year sort of thing where Netflix and MVP just kind of take advantage of all the free agents in the market and all the people who are kind of anti-UFC. The fact that this is Netflix, you are infinitely getting more viewers than PFL could ever dream about, right? I don't care if PFL streams it on YouTube. I'm going to be honest. MVP actually promotes their fights, unlike PFL, unlike ONE FC, unlike Bellator, unlike the UFC a lot of the times. And I know this is their grand thing. Maybe they'll only promote it once and let it die. But Jake Paul talked about doing like an MMA thing, and it's here, it's happening. I don't think Jake Paul is ever man enough to step in an MMA cage, but I do think, for Ngannou's case, like I said, this opens up a way to box him. It opens up, since they're all fighting on the same card, for like a Robelis versus Ngannou, or a Parnas versus Fazil, or just fights going forward that could be fun. But yeah, I mean, it's good card for what it is. I think they definitely need to know their place. They can't go band for band with the UFC as far as just having it all. You can't have the belts and the champions and the depth of the UFC, but you can take advantage of free agents and make actually good cards by MMA and UFC standards based on the talent pool you can find. And I think that's just what they should do going forward. I mean, looking at this, a lot of these guys are signed to other promotions. Robelis to Karate Combat, Perry to BKFC. I don't know what Parnas's deal is with KSW. Maybe he left. Maybe Jason Jackson left PFL. And I know Ngannou left PFL. But, these guys seem to just be kind of bouncing through promotions, a lot of them. Marias just leaving ONE FC. These guys are coming from all over. It's just a matter of where they go after this. I assume JDS will go back to Gamebred and so on. But, yeah, you definitely got to wonder about your Parnasses and guys like that, if their career is going to be kept on hold by the likes of PFL or waiting around for another year for an MVP card. Move on with your career, get in the UFC, get into the Contender Series. If you're in a unique position like an UNC, fight your career out at Gamebred FC or BKFC or whatever you want to do. And in Ngannou's case, it's special. You pretty much got the perfect lineup of what you wanted. If you fuck this up, you truly are a problem to work with, in my opinion. You know what I mean? They're paying you what you want. They're letting you do whatever. If you have a problem with this, honestly, go fuck yourself. And I'm not going to sit here and glaze Jake Paul. I don't like the man, but he seems to have catered to his every whim. So if there's a problem, like negotiating wise, Ngannou asking for money, fuck him. He's pretty much gotten everything he's asked for with this. PFL low-key gave him everything too. They made him a promotion about. They had him create a promotion for African fighters, and it fucking bombed. And there's he's the chairman of it, and they're all just 4 and 3 guys, 5 and 7 guys. I don't want to sound like Kanye West. Ngannou's a good fighter. I like some of the Ngannou knockouts. What the fuck does he know about promoting? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he doesn't even show up at his lone live events.
He does
a lot of fun, but he seems like a cocky prick a lot of the time.
That is true. He didn't even show up to PFL.
And I'm gonna be honest, he did not stand his base against Jake Paul. If you saw that video, he did not stand his base. Jake Paul was fucking mocking the fuck out of him. He was just zero aura. I don't know. He'll still win. But yeah.
Yeah.
Lack of aura from Ngannou. Yeah, is there anything else you want to add on to this?
Oh, no, I think we said everything. We gave our predictions. We gave our assessment of what we think MVP promotions is after. And I think we nailed it. I don't think they're trying to make a league. I don't think they're trying to compete with the UFC. I think they're just taking advantage of the opportunity of free agency. And they're giving a deal with Netflix. I don't know if this is more than a one-off. But if it is, I like the idea of a free agent audition. I really do like that. They should really try to copy the Contender Series more than the UFC. But overall, no, I think we hit the nail on everything we need to talk about. Predictions, what we think the promotions are about. Yeah, I think all in all, it should be a pretty good card. And it shows a good week. Alan Costa is as hardcore UFC fans as we are, we'll watch it obviously, but you look at the names on this card, you can make the legit case and argument MVP's got the name value this week. You could make the case.
Yeah, I mean it's called MVP 1, so they must be planning on doing more than one, at least in theory.
Potentially. Yeah, potentially.
I don't think it'll be like Triad Combat where they do like one and fuck off, but
Yeah.
you never know with like random startup promotions. Like I don't even know like when we heard about MVP even being a thing, like a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe
Something
even
like
less. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, good card. I feel like we gave a good prediction despite us being in the dark for a lot of these guys, but a lot of them are honestly very known too. So it wasn't too hard. Just pretty much had to know who Pereira's opponent is, Magoyam's opponent. I needed to know who Creighton was, Nakuda, and then the Fazil Babian fight, and then Cross. That's really it. But everybody else known. So shout out to them for putting a good fight on the card. And honestly, Nate Diaz and Mike Perry is a fucking banger. Like that is extremely watchable. And anything Ngannou does is extremely watchable as well. So
for sure.
Shout out to a decent MMA I guess an MMA promotion putting on a decent card for once. You know, I'm sure they got a ton of money behind them, which helps. But yeah.
I will give Jake Paul his flowers on that. I guess say what you want about the guy, contrasting figure, polarizing, this and that, obnoxious. All things considered, give him credit. He's put up some boxing cards. He's now done an MMA card. He's really put his mouth where his money where his mouth is, and I think for what it's considered, he's kind of delivered for the expectations and the conditions that were met. I think he's delivered and more.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think a lot of it he doesn't have to do, but he is. I feel like they're shilling money out to some of these guys. Like I feel like they are shilling out fucking thousands to Ngannou. I know they are. And I know they're doing the same to Nate Diaz and Rousey. Guys like they are getting fucking paid. I don't know as much about like Parnas or Robelis or JDS, but I know Rousey, Ngannou, and Nate Diaz are fucking paid. They wouldn't be here if they weren't.
They're getting bread for sure.
You must have gave Nate Diaz money or he forgot about Conor McGregor's return this year. That's what I'm thinking.
Facts.
So, yeah, I mean, at this point, Ngannou is never going to come back either. Rousey's going to just hate the UFC forever for some reason, even though she was.
I don't even think it's an Ngannou thing. I think the UFC has just moved on from him.
Yeah, I get that, but I think like now that you're getting there was talks about him wanting to come back and Nate and Dana being like, "Nah, kid." But I mean, if you're getting what it seems like everything you asked for, how could you turn back now?
Right. And I think it's a similar thing with Dana. His whole premise is if I go back and I let you back in, that's going to make me look double standard and kind of weak. And that from Dana's shoes, I'm seeing like if he gives in, lets Ngannou come back after all that shit he said about him, aside from like not only like caving into the fighter, he would also would that not just create just unwarranted tension and awkwardness, like him back in the UFC?
It would certainly be interesting. It's extremely unlikely, but I think it'd be interesting to see him mixed up with the current top five. A lot of them he didn't fight, never fought Aspinall, never fought Pereira. I mean, can you imagine that? Pereira versus Ngannou?
Oh yeah, no, like from a marketing standpoint, like the big fight, so it's there. But like his whole thing is gonna be like he'll beat like Waldo or Volkov and be like, okay, where's my title shot? One win, I can already see it happening. Like if that were the case.
I mean, he did retire with the belt or left the UFC with the belt, so I mean, it would make sense he'd walk into a title fight coming back, in my opinion. Yeah. But yeah, no, we're talking in La La Land. That ain't happening.
Yeah,
more than likely, fucking like 90% of these guys never go into the UFC or never think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe Nate chases a Conor fight. Maybe Fazil or Parnas gets the call up. Or Magoyam goes back in the Contender Series, but that's honestly it for me, to be honest. I don't think anyone else on this card ever goes back to the UFC. Just a few of the young guys. That would be it. Everybody else has kind of been around too long or too anti-UFC to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that'll be it for the card. Rousey versus Carano, MVP 1. Should be called Diaz Perry, but it is what it is. Rousey's got the name value. And yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. We will see you next time. Peace.
Appreciate you guys for make sure to like and subscribe to the video. I just botched that, but appreciate you guys for staying and watching. Make sure to go like and subscribe to the video. And Gina Carano, you look phenomenal at 44. Rooting for you. Please keep doing you. You look so good. All right.
Facts. Adrian.